in sweat and dirt and look like I came out of a cold man. After an hour of walking back, I'm at a point in the trail that crosses a shallow part of a large creek. Right in the middle of the creek, a Jeep is parked. A teenage couple were making out. This is the only way through, so I'm thinking walk for 3 more hours. So I casually stroll up and said, "Hey, what's up?" They were not expecting that. Oddly enough, after we talked, they gave me a ride home. I felt bad because I'm pretty sure I torpedoed their date. Plus I got mud swept all over the back seat fabric of his brand new Jeep Wrangler. They were probably happy just to be alive, though maybe they will post their version of "they read this so friend of mine and I spent an entire summer on a river in Tennessee." You go to the kayak rental place, rent a kayak, and you can spend your whole day going down this river if you don't paddle or anything and just let the current take you. Normally we tried to make it back before sundown, but this time it kind of snuck up on us and the sun was beginning to set while we were out there, both of us being pussies. We start paddling with everything we've got while it's getting darker when we spot this group of 5, 6 little boys aged around 911, dressed in what we assume was like Boy Scout uniforms running along the riverbank. No adults in sight. We try calling to them, "It's a white river, we are on the opposite side." And they don't answer us. So we try steering our kayak a little closer, see if they're lost or something, and they look our way but don't reply. Once we got about 5 feet from the other bank, they bolt. All of them take off into the woods like something is chasing them. We hightail it to F out of there, arrive back to the campground. Right as it's getting dark. Kids are nowhere. We ask around. Nobody's kids are unaccounted for. Nobody's seen these kids. Everybody thinks we are crazy. We noped right the F out of that place. My little brother joined the Boy Scouts a few months later, realized that the uniforms those kids were wearing were older scout uniforms from like the 60s or 70s. Hello. So recently I have been experiencing weird phenomena and have some possible explanations for them. I want to start off that I am not on any mind-altering or hallucinogenic drugs, nor have I been diagnosed with any type of psychosis or other mental illness. The first thing happened around Christmas Eve and around 6 a.m. I had this feeling of multiple hands, or maybe just one hand wrapping around my neck and trying to pull me out of bed. It stopped, then happened again, as if it was a person trying again. After the first attempt failed, my first thought was a break-in, solely due to how realistic it felt. But when the sun fully came up, there was no sign of forced entry or any broken doors, locks, or windows, as well as me not hearing anything in the night. This one was most likely sleep paralysis, and I have wrote it off as such, as I have heard stories that are very similar, and it's a relatively common thing. The second instance was last month or so, in which I briefly felt a touch around the same area, this time my arm or shoulder. I just remember the touch being super cold and icy and happened around 2 a.m. This one was possibly a tactile hallucination, though I never heard of the sensation feeling cold. It's not impossible, just unusual. Maybe. Now this third event is where it gets weird. Around 5 a.m., I was jarred by the weirdest sound. It sounded exactly like a screaming horse and was right outside my door. I live in a residential area with no farm animals. It also sounded like whatever was making the horse noise was also trying to open my door by rattling and pulling the handle. The sounds were way too clear to be an auditory hallucination. I have had those before, and those can be loud, but usually only heard within my headspace. This was very clearly actually happening. It also wasn't a dream either, because I was more than half awake at the time, as I have recently went back to bed after using the bathroom. The first two I have possible rational explanations for, but the horse noise incident I have no idea about. Does anybody here know what could be going on? Any further explanations or thoughts are welcome. I was diagnosed with a psychotic disorder last year, though my symptoms have